Hi, it's Dot from dotstrot.com. I've got roses here, so that must mean only one thing. It's Valentine's dinner. And it is. I'm making it a few days early. This is one of my favorite meals to make at home for Valentine's Day for me and my husband. It's a main course with two sides and also a dessert that I'll show you how to make. It's real simple. It takes about 25 minutes of cooking from once you get the steak in the oven to when it's all said and done. It only takes about 25 minutes to pull everything together. It's that simple. So what am I making? I'm going to make two tenderloin steaks. I'm going to wrap them in bacon for added flavor. Yum. I've got some spinach here, about a pound of spinach that I'm going to cook down into sauteed spinach. I have got an heirloom tomato and some different colored cherry tomatoes. So I'm going to make a tomato salad with fresh basil. And I've got some berries here. Berries are great on a low-carb diet, but it's something you eat rarely. Fruit is not something you eat all the time, but berries, just the antioxidants in there and the vitamins and minerals are just wonderful. So I'm making berries with cream. If you're going to have fruit, you should always have it with fat. That's a big thing because it doesn't spike your insulin levels. And one thing I wasn't planning on getting today was the cherries. It's not cherry season, but these were Tasmanian cherries, and I had to have them. Do they taste any different than regular old Bing cherries or Michigan cherries? No. It's just, it was the word Tasmanian, and I remembered the Tasmanian devil when I was growing up watching all the old Looney Tunes, so I just had to get it. So that's just the way I am. So what I'm going to do right now is get everything all set up and start working on steaks so I can get them in the oven. All right, I preheated my oven to 450. I also have, and you can hear the crackling, I've got some butter on the stove at medium-high heat. It's melting for the pan. The pan's going to go into the oven, so it's really important to have a pan that is oven safe. So I'm using my cast iron. I've got my bacon here, salt and pepper, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and be very generous. I'm going to salt the steak. I'm using kosher salt here, but I'm just going to salt the steak. You can be generous with this simply because the salt is going to come off. A lot of it will start coming off when it cooks. So I got that, and actually you want to I dropped quite a bit of salt on the plate or on my chopping board, so you want to pick it up. And I just salt from on high all the different sides. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the pepper. Rub that on. Just rub it all in. Don't be afraid to season it. Next I'm going to do is use my bacon. You want thin strips of bacon. That's really important. And you're just going to wrap the outside of your tenderloin. I'm going to secure it with a toothpick just because it can come off. So you just want to secure it. So just keep that in mind when you're taking it out of the oven, that's there. This one is a bit of an odd shaped one, so I got an extra piece of bacon, but I think this is probably it's going to fit. You never quite know when you have some of these cuts. They can be odd shaped. So I have an extra piece of bacon, which won't go to waste. It'll just go back into my pack of bacon. So that's secured. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead, head over to my stove. I'm going to put these in my pan. I'm going to sear each side because I want that nice seared look to it. I'm going to sear each side probably for about a minute. Then I'm going to put it in the oven. I just put the steaks in. They're searing on the side, so I'm going to leave them in for, like I said, for about a minute. They're cooking in butter. They smell wonderful right now. Certainly the butter does. They're going to go in the oven. Once I flip it, I'll sear it again for another minute on the other side. They're going to go in the oven for about 12 to 15 minutes. They're about the large one is about 8 ounces. The small one, that one's about 6 ounces. So perfect size for me and my husband. He gets the larger one, I get the smaller one. The key to remember with low carb is it's moderate protein. It's not a lot of protein, so just keep that in mind. So pretty soon I'm going to sear it. You can see, that's what I'm talking about with the color. It's a nice color that I have on there. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it. Flip that one over. It's going to go another minute, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it in the oven. All right, I got my steak in. I have my tomato sliced, and I use basically an heirloom tomato, one heirloom tomato, sort of medium size, and a bunch of different type of cherry tomatoes. So float your boat, whatever you like to use, but I like to heirloom because get a little bit of coloration here. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of salt to the tomatoes, just a bit of a sprinkle, like a pinch, and about a pinch of pepper as well. There we go. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut some strips, thin strips of basil. That'll go on top of the tomatoes, just for flavor. Nice having some fresh herbs. You know, if you prefer, the other thing I've done is a Caprese salad. So it's just you layer tomato with fresh mozzarella and a whole basil leaf if you prefer. There we go. So I've done that. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little bit of balsamic vinegar. I'm going to take about a half a teaspoon. And I'm just going to drizzle it. Just a little bit. You just want to touch. I'm going to a little bit more on those cherry tomatoes. So about one total teaspoon. Then I'm going to use some extra virgin olive oil. Again, same amount, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more. You want to be a little bit sparing, though, on the balsamic vinegar, simply because a lot of sugar in that type of vinegar. Now, you can certainly use a different type of vinegar if you want. You can use a cider vinegar if you prefer, but I like the balsamic. It is, Valentine's after all. So there. My tomatoes are all set. They're ready to go. I'm going to put these aside, and then I'm going to get going on my steamed spinach. All right, I've got a little bit of basting olive oil in here. Don't normally cook with olive oil, but when you're doing light sauteing, it's perfectly fine. I've got a portion of my spinach in here. I just start flipping it around. You can see the oil on it. You can see it starting to cook down. For two of us, I'm using about a pound of spinach. Now, a pound of spinach, when you cook it down, saute it down, gives you about a cup of sauteed spinach. So that means half a cup for each of us. That's our serving size. Now, you could certainly do more if you'd like. About a cup sauteed is close to 4 grams, total grams of carbs per serving. But I'm cutting it in half just because I'm also going to be having berries tonight with some cream. So I'm just cutting my portion in half. But the truth is, the steak is going to be more than enough to fill me up. So I don't want to go too far over. So I have my lid, because the idea was, depending how fast I need it to go, I was going to put this on top. It's not needed. I'm going to add a little bit of salt to this, not a whole lot, just a pinch, and I'm going to start adding more. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. It's on a little bit too high. I don't want it to burn. I just want to saute. All right, my steaks are ready. They're out of the oven. I'm doing them medium rare, and what I'm doing, I cooked them a little bit in butter. You can hear the sizzle. I'm just not losing that flavor, and I'm just basting them a little bit. I'm going to take them out of the pan, and I'm going to let them rest for about 5 to 10 minutes, and that gives me enough time to make my whipped cream for my berries. All right, I'm going to start making my whipped cream, and I'm just using about half a cup of heavy cream. I don't need that much cream because it's just me and my husband, although he probably could demolish this whole thing in what I'm doing. I'm also going to be adding in a little bit of vanilla extract, but right now I'm going to start whipping it. So I'm going to use my little whisk. It's best if your bowl is chilled. I forgot to put mine in the freezer, but it'll still whip it just fine. So here we go. What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to add, it's getting a little creamy, but I'm going to add about just a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract for flavor. Don't really want much more than that. I'll taste it once it's formed to see if I do need to add some. Got it stiff. I'm going to go ahead, grab a little spoon. I'm going to take a little taste to see if I need to add any more of the vanilla. I think it's actually good right there. How you like, if you really like a strong vanilla taste, or if you want to use another flavor like mint, go right ahead. This is perfect. What I'm going to do is go ahead and put this in the freezer and get it ready to go to use it to top our dinner. And I'm going to start plating everything. All right, everything's done. I've plated the dinner. I've got my berries and my cream, and also the cherries are in there too, of course. But it is really easy. It took me about 25 minutes from beginning to end. Your steak stays in the oven for about 12 to 15 minutes, and that's for medium rare. You take it out, let it rest for about 5 minutes. It still is heating up as you do that. If you want your steak a little bit more done, go ahead and leave it in a little bit longer. But this is a real easy way to celebrate Valentine's Day without the heavy cost of going out to a restaurant where you're going to pay a lot more, you're going to have a lot of wine, and if you're not controlling the food and how it's prepared, there's no way you're going to know it really is a low-carb meal. So that's something to keep in mind. But this is low carb, it's healthy and delicious, and you end up saving a lot of money by staying at home. So go ahead, hit the subscribe button if you like what you see. Give it a thumbs up as well, and share with your friends. And I hope you have a very happy Valentine's Day.